Imagine a classroom of 33 students. They need to elect one class representative, and 3 students step up to run. When the ballots are counted, Ahmed gets 10 votes, Ravi gets 11, and Gourmand gets 12. With the highest total, Gourmand is declared the winner. This chart shows the final vote spread. Gourmand won, but the distribution shows that 21 students, the vast majority of the room, actually voted for someone else. This is the first-past-the-post system. To win, a candidate doesn't need an absolute majority of 50% plus 1. They strictly need a plurality, which just means getting at least one more vote than the runner-up. Designing an election this way is a deliberate choice. It trades the guarantee of broad consensus for speed, ensuring a clear and decisive winner with endless rounds of voting. Applying this classroom rule to a few dozen students is easy. Applying it to 1.4 billion requires an entirely different scale of engineering. India runs on direct elections. Citizens walk into polling booths and cast votes for their leaders exactly the same way those students dropped paper slips into a box. Understanding the math behind this classroom election explains how a billion-person democracy functions at its most basic level. You can't gather a billion citizens in a single forum to raise their hands. Instead, the country's massive geography is fractured into manageable blocks called constituencies. Inside each block, a separate winner-takes-all race occurs. Voters elect leaders on 2 main tracks. On the state level, citizens inside an assembly constituency directly elect a member of the Legislative Assembly, or MLA, to govern regional affairs. On the national level, the country is sliced into 543 distinct parliamentary constituencies, where voters elect members of parliament, or MPs, for the Lok Sabha. This branching flowchart shows how a single citizen sits inside both maps at once, casting votes in both pathways to choose representatives for 2 distinct levels of governance. Breaking the map down this way ensures that every single neighborhood has a specific, accountable person to praise or blame for how the government is running. The first-past-the-post system carries a known risk. Because whoever gets the most votes wins, large localized demographic groups can easily and permanently outvote minority populations. To counter this, the electoral system relies on reserved seats, specifically allocated for groups that have historically faced exclusion, the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Of the 543 Lok Sabha seats, 84 are reserved for scheduled castes and 47 for scheduled tribes, leaving 412 general constituencies. This restricts candidate eligibility, not voter participation. In reserved constituencies, only specified demographics can run, but every eligible citizen still votes. By engineering these specific interventions, the system protects minority representation from being erased by the raw math of plurality rule. Once the election concludes, those 543 winning MPs travel to the capital to form a functioning government in this debating chamber. To actually govern, a political party needs an absolute majority of the room. They must hit the magic threshold of 272 seats. But first past the post often splinters victories across many different regional parties. Frequently, no single group controls 272 seats on its own. The solution is the coalition government. Rival parties pool their seats, negotiate policy compromises, and build a unified bloc capable of hitting that required threshold. Winning a local constituency is only the first step. The actual exercise of democratic power relies on the complex mathematics of post-election alliance building. With the risk of minority winners and messy, fractured coalitions, why does India stick with this system? It trades perfect proportional representation for systemic stability. Deciding winners by a simple plurality resolves elections immediately, avoiding the need for endless runoff races. To see how different rules change outcomes, imagine running that classroom election from earlier, but using the single transferable vote system, where students rank the candidates by preference. This comparison illustrates the difference. Under STV, the lowest candidate is eliminated. Their ballots cascade to voters' second choices until a majority is reached. Candidates can't rely on an extreme base. They must appeal across boundaries to win. Take a moment to look up your local MP and MLA. Check if the representative your neighborhood elected sits within a broader coalition bloc in government. Recognizing how these specific mechanics translate a single ballot into a national government changes the weight of that choice. It connects an individual vote directly to the structural design of how the nation is led.